Nintendo decided to tease us with 14 seconds of Mario Kart 9 gameplay in the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer. In those 14 seconds, we found there's going to be 24 players on this racetrack. And I believe Nintendo is going to do this for every track in their game. So this means competitive Mario Kart 9 will have to cater to this new maximum of players. There are 3 types of competitive Mario Kart that I will be going over, and all will be having major changes to how we've typically seen these play out. Let's start with Lounge. Lounge, if you don't know, is a way to play as your own player by playing in solo and team events to increase your rank and MMR. Lounge actually has the easiest path to becoming viable and competitive for Mario Kart. In fact, there's already a Discord server with tons of players that I will be linking in the description for you guys. All we need to do for Lounge is add more formats and adjust the MMR gains and losses for 24 players. On top of our 12-player formats, we will just double the players, that being FFA, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, and 6v6. We will also likely be adding 8v8, v8 to the mix. Now you might be asking, what about 12v12? Well, the competitive viability of this format might be in complete jeopardy altogether, and with 11 completely random teammates and 12 completely random players that you play against, the teams can be very lopsided. However, it is possible we will see this format if it is viable in Clan Wars, which we will talk about later. As in current 8 Deluxe Lounge, they've decided to make 6v6 a snake format based off MMR. Previously, it was captains picking teams, which many people did not like, and this ended up getting the format removed entirely from solo queue. This snake format has only recently been implemented, so if people, once again, do not like this, we will definitely not see a 12v12 lounge format in Mario Kart 9. Now, organizing 24-player rooms you might think would be difficult, but organizing 12 players in a lobby has posed very few problems so far. And let's just say for the sake of argument, you'd be doubling those problems. Solving them would not be such a big deal, in my opinion. Next up, let's talk about Clan Wars. Clan Wars in Mario Kart is where you split the lobby into 2 teams where they both try to score the most points over 12 races. Now, if we split a 24-player lobby down the middle, we get, of course, 12 players on both sides. However, 12v12 poses 5 major problems that we don't see in 6v6 Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But before we get into those issues, let's just put this into context. Major esports largest teams have included 6 players on a team. League of Legends, Dota 2, and Valorant, which are all the biggest esports on the planet, all use 5 players on a team. Now, we're going to double that number, which is not only standard, but more importantly, has worked. Now, the argument for this not only working out, but also thriving, is none other than actual physical real-life sports. Some sports have small teams, say hockey, basketball, all forms of racing. All of these have small teams or no teams at all. However, the biggest sports in the world, both the footballs, that being soccer if you're American, and the Great American National Football League if you're European, both have 11 players on a team playing on the field at once, which is definitely close enough to 12. However, we are going to have to be the pioneers for esports in conquering and solving problems no other esport has had to solve yet. Let's begin with how we might solve these issues. So let's get into the first problem, communication. Having 12 players on a call creates a whole nother level of chaos. However, with generally internet and hopefully mics improving as technology advances, the uncontrolled chaos in these calls will be reduced as time goes on. And honestly, the strategy behind calling with 12 players could be interesting, since your own personal callouts need to be concise and the most informational possible for you and your team to take advantage of them. So maybe this problem is solved, but this is by far the least of our worries. Next up is the teams themselves. Gathering and organizing 12 players to make sure they are on time and able to play will be incredibly difficult. Teams even now have difficulty gathering 6 players. Moving to 12 means we're going to have to also increase the amount of players on a team from what is currently 9 to 18 at the bare minimum. On average, teams have 12 to 15 players in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This means on average, it will be very likely we have 24 to 30 players on a team. Instead of playing with just a group of friends, it's going to feel like you're playing with the whole organization. Teams are going to feel a whole lot less personal, but of course, this can be overcome with enough interest and good enough leaders in the community. This next issue can also be solved with enough interest and active players, but it's going to have to exceed the amount needed to solve the previous problem, and that is the skill gap. Why is this an issue, you might ask? Well, teams will get bored and lose interest if the same teams are winning and losing, especially at the top. Just to use Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as an example, in 150cc, there's been what's essentially a dynasty formed by a group of French players that were first on World Friend and now are on BRE. World Friend and BRE have won 11 of the previous 18 Mario Kart Universal seasons, the biggest clan war tournament in Mario Kart. And BRE have won the last 4 and are looking to make it 5, as they are currently the only undefeated team in Mario Kart Universal Season 26 at the time of this recording. And the skill gap between teams is going to be way bigger than it has been in any previous Mario Kart. Why will this happen? Well, for one, there are going to be much more players on each team like I mentioned, likely more than double the average in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This means there's less players to take from the pool to spread around to other teams. If a bunch of top players in the game are all on one team, what's to stop them from staying on that same team for several years and dominating the scene? Now, this might sound futile, and the solution might honestly just be to get good, but that's way easier said than done. Also, even at lower levels, the skill gap might be so profound that it's going to be fairly obvious who's going to win the division before the season even starts. And that is going to leave plenty of players demotivated and frankly even unwilling to go to the lengths they normally would to win their matches. Now, of course, if there's enough interest and active players in Mario Kart 9, this could just fix itself. But it would have to way more than double if we don't want to see dominant dynasties like we have seen in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The fourth issue to solve is the item system. Will the item system be good enough to allow for 12-on-12 action to be viable, playable, and finally watchable, which we will get to later? This problem is the main reason why Mario Kart Wii has switched from 6v6 to 5v5 a long time ago. They found the item distribution to be much more competitively viable with 5v5 and eventually transitioned to that. Now, I might take a deep dive into what the item system could look like in this game, but it'd be mostly speculation. And honestly, I'd want to make a separate video on this topic entirely. The fifth and final issue is watchability. Watching Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Clan Wars is difficult enough already. Doubling the amount of players will make watching this virtually impossible to people who don't play this game competitively and know the ins and outs and nuances of Clan Wars. In my opinion, this is quite possibly what will make 12v12 impossible unless we see Nintendo implement an absolutely amazing spectator mode for this game to make watching much easier. But I doubt this happens. All other issues we can control with community accountability and interest in competing. But if we want to have any sort of reach to anyone but those playing in the competitive community, we must make Clan Wars watchable to a general audience. So what's the alternative then? If there's no 12v12, how will we play Clan Wars? Well, just like what Mario Kart Wii did, we can reduce the amount of players on each team. I think 8 versus 8 would be a potential good compromise between the 24 players aspect and the previous 6v6 Clan Wars with 12 players in each lobby. Now, I think the very maximum we will go in the next game is 10 on 10, and still, that is stretching it. We will eventually find the sweet spot between 6v6 and 12v12, but for Mario Kart 9, Clan Wars will be fresh and exciting to play regardless of how many players on each team there will be. And finally, we have tournaments. Tournaments in Mario Kart occur with multiple rounds of normally full lobbies where the best scorers from each round move on to the next one until the finals, where, of course, the highest scorer in the finals wins. Now, this can be done with small teams as well, but for the most part, I'll be referring to free-for-alls, and honestly, the formats are all similar enough to be talked about in the same light. Tournaments, in my opinion, will be much better in Mario Kart 9. Why, you might ask? Well, with 24-player lobbies, if let's say we have a similar or even a little bit more players in each tournament on average, we're going to have fewer rounds in each tournament. Yeah, you might be saying to yourself once again, how in the world is this a good thing? Why is fewer rounds a good thing? Well, with fewer rounds, every race matters that much more. And more importantly, there will be more races in each round for a good tournament. The reason why this is much better is in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, oftentimes in early rounds there are 8, sometimes 6, and in lands, I've even seen 4 races in a round. Imagine carving out a massive part of your day to be a part of a tournament just to be eliminated in 4 races. That would just be soul-crushing and ruin your entire day. But let's just say there's 96 players in a tournament, which is a ton, don't get me wrong. But this tournament could already make the first round the quarterfinals if you eliminate half the field. This means there will be 3 total rounds. In order to make this a good tournament, you need to at least give 8 races, likely 12 races, for the first round in the quarterfinals. This means the round is less random. Players who maybe aren't the favorite to, make the finals get to play more Mario Kart. And even if they expect to be eliminated in the first round. And I think this is the main reason individuals will enjoy and improve in Mario Kart 9. Thank you guys for watching the entire video. I really do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as this video took a ton of time and effort to make. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.